In this next part, we are going to go over the JavaScript file that we'll need to edit. At the top of your file, you will notice a function that generates an email address and appends a number to it between 1 and 5,000. We will use this to track users anonymously to follow their path through a project. You may use this method or rework the code to authenticate a user. The next section of the code we will need to tweak. This section is what creates our launch URL. The first part we need to change is the basic auth. In your LRS, locate your identifier and password. You will need to base64 encode them by going to a base64 encoder, pasting your identifier in, appending a colon onto it, and pasting your password onto the colon, and then selecting encode. If you're unsure how to do this, refer to the link below this video. Now, let's paste your encoded basic auth after the word basic, leaving a space between the word basic and your auth. The next part, we want to replace the launch URL. The launch URL is the URL where your course is hosted. This is the link you would send to people to access your course. My course is hosted on an S3, and I will put its link here. Now let's put in the endpoint. Locate your endpoint URL for your LRS. I'm using Wax LRS, and my endpoint is this. After that, we need to change the activity ID. The activity ID will be the ID that you put in your JavaScript trigger. For instance, mine is espressomatchmaker.com. Now let's work on the last part. We will need to put in our endpoint here. The last part will be to add in the auth again. Paste in your encoded auth here. If you scroll down, you will see all of the verbs that we are able to use. You can also add more verbs here, but it's best to consult with your team to agree on the verbs you will be using and their meanings.